Denver. The biggest game in Denver since 1977 when the Broncos went to the Super Bowl. Good afternoon and welcome to Denver, Colorado. Marv Albert with John Brody. And John, what about the crowd factor? Does Seattle have to score early in the ball game to shut down the Denver crowd?
Marv, I think that a hometown advantage is the most underestimated advantage that any home team has. And I think in the case of Denver this week, if Seattle doesn't score and allows Denver to get ahead, they'll be so loud when David Craig is at the line of scrimmage that he'll have almost an impossible time communicating with his receivers. And I think he's got to throw well for them to win today.
And the heart of both these ball clubs, the special teams and the work of the defensive units.
Well, their defensive units, I think, are structured by one man in each case. Tom Catlin for the Seattle Seahawks has been the guy with Chuck Knox. Wherever he's been, Tom has been there. They've got 8 divisional titles, and I think in large part due to the play of and the coaching of Tom Catlin. Joe Collier's a man who came in the offseason, did not have a chance to bring his own man, saw just how great Joe Collier was. And the thing that stands out in Denver is Joe Collier and the Bronco defense.
And a look at the AFC playoff picture. Denver has already clinched a playoff spot, while with New England losing on Thanksgiving Day. A victory here today for Denver would give the Broncos a 2-game lead over Seattle. A Seattle win would mean a tie for first. Seattle won the toss. They elected to receive the kickoff from Carlos. Zachary Dixon. And they'll bring it out to the 20 as Dixon had to let it fly by. The one-time Denver Broncos, Zach Dixon, not allowed the kickoff return. Dave Craig leading the Seahawks onto the field. The one rookie, Darrell Turner, a wide receiver from Michigan State. And up front, Rod Essing, Reggie McKenzie, Blair Bush, Robert Pratt, and Bob Kreider. And the crowd into it right from the start. The Seahawks first down from the 20-yard line. And Craig going for the bomb. And he has Turner. Darrell Turner. An 80-yard touchdown. And as you mentioned, John, Chuck Knox looking to quiet this crowd down right at the start.
Well, I tell you, I didn't quite know it was going to be that spectacular. Darrell Turner made one of the finest catches I've seen all year. Totally extended, and for him to have kept his feet was even more remarkable. But that ball was thrown as well as a ball can be thrown. Seattle also caught Denver in a blitz. They're trying to get to the thrower. You give the thrower that much time when you've got 7 men rushing. The passer, he runs right by Mike Harden. Darrell Turner, we know, has got great speed in his rookie year from Michigan State. Turns the first offensive play into a touchdown, 6-0 Seattle, and the game is barely underway.
And here is Norm Johnson looking to add the extra point. Jim Zorn will put it down. Off the 80-yard touchdown to Darrell Turner, the man who replaced the injured Paul Johns, a second-round draft pick who has emerged as a starter in his rookie year. It is a 7-0 Seahawk lead. We'll be back with the Seattle kickoff right after these words. Well, the Denver Bronco defense began the day leading the NFL, allowing only 8 passing touchdowns, and Darrell Turner made it 9. Dave Craig has now thrown a touchdown pass in 15 consecutive regular season games. So here's the kickoff from Norm Johnson. He will stay right there. Gene Lang, rookie from LSU. So they'll bring it out to the 20.
Chuck Knox said before the ball game, we really have to give Craig enough time. Well, when they're rushing 7 players, you get 3.5 seconds to throw the ball. You're liable to hit a streaking wide receiver down the line. Darrell Turner just outran Mike Harden. Looks a lot easier than it is.
to the 7-0 lead. John Elway, who comes off the 5-touchdown performance against Minnesota last week with Sammy Winder, the lone deep back. 87 Jim Wright in motion. And Elway putting one up. Look at this. And it is ruled incomplete. And Butch Johnson is very upset.
And I think he has a very legitimate reason to be so. The official that was behind him had ruled it a catch when they were on the ground. The ball was stripped from Butch's hand. Let's take a look. We see no instance there. They were both on the ground. The ball was stripped. It was a call, a judgment call, as we've seen so many go in different directions this year. But I think it gives you a pretty good illustration as to how each of these teams looks at the other. The last time these two teams played, 59 points were scored, and we could see a repeat.
That would have been a 54-yard pass play. So both teams coming out with the long bomb to open up 2nd and 10. Rick Barros across the 25-yard line. Keith Butler on the stop. And a look at that outstanding Seattle defensive unit. Jacob Green, 11.5 sacks. Jeff Bryant has the same. Joe Nash with 7 sacks. Solid group of linebackers, Schultz and Shelton Robinson and Butler and Gaines, who has filled in very well for the injured Michael Jackson, and a secondary that has been just terrific. Simpson, Easley, Harris, and Brown. 3rd down and 3 at the 27. Again to the ground, and it's Rick Barros. Stopped by Greg Gaines. Close to the 1st down.
But he did not get to the 30-yard line. It will not be a 1st down, and it was just because of the play of Gaines, who held Barros from being able to move his back forward across the line with the ball.
So a punting situation. And Chris Norman, a rookie from South Carolina, will boot away to Paul Scanzi. This is Norman, who has been erratic. Great potential up and down. Got off some boomers during the course of preseason. Just underway at Mile High, and Seattle with a 7-0 lead off the 80-yard touchdown pass play. Scanzi lets it bounce. And a Denver hop. 63-yard punt for Chris Norman. When we return, it'll be a 1st and 10 from the 7 for the Seahawks. Well, that 63-yard punt by Norman has gotten the crowd back into it. Seahawks in possession, 1st down from the 7-yard line. Dorning and Hughes, the running backs. Dan Dorning to the 9. Reuben Carter, the nose tackle on the stop. It's Chavis, Carter, and Jones up front. Rulon Jones with 6.5 sacks. Ryan, Dennison, Busick, and Jackson. Jackson has been the emotional leader of this club. And Randy Robbins replacing the injured Dennis Smith, out with a pinched nerve in his left shoulder. Robbins has played extremely well. He's a rookie from Arizona. 2nd down and 8. Hughes hit behind the line by the free safety, Steve Foley.
Marv, Steve Foley is one of those that when he's in the open field, it is no bargain to try and get around him. He's been an outstanding opportunist as a free safety, as a strong safety, an exceptional tackler. He's been the one steadying factor back there in the defensive secondary since Jackson left a few years ago. And he's a good one.
3rd down and 10. That's a final score. The Rams over Tampa Bay. Washington winning big over Buffalo. And the crowd responding to the Denver defense as Dan Dorning is stacked up.
Again, as good as their play selection was on the first series of plays when they were playing against the 7-man blitz, there was very little else they could do, but a draw play against the 7-man blitz generally does not get back to the line of scrimmage, as that one didn't.
The Seahawks to punt formation, and Jeff West, in his 9th year out of Cincinnati, will boot from deep in his end zone. Gerald Wilhite awaiting the punt at midfield. Earlier this week, Denver waived Zach Thomas, who had been tentative. So Wilhite handling both kickoffs and punts, and comes up on it inside the 40. 33-yard punt. Denver with very fine field possession. 1st and 10 upcoming from inside the 39-yard line. 4.5 gone by. First quarter from Mile High in Denver.
Guten Morgen.
Morgen.
The Denver Broncos taking over at the Seattle 39. The Seahawks off the first play from scrimmage, an 80-yard touchdown bomb to the rookie Darrell Turner, leading the Broncos by the score of 7-0. Sammy Winder inside the 35, and Winder has been a workhorse as we check around the scoreboard. Some of the earlier games, Cincinnati winning big over Atlanta. Cleveland knocks off Houston, ending the Oilers' 2-game win streak. Hey, folks in Houston excited they were still in the playoff hunt with that record of 2-10. Second and 6 at the 35. Elway. Penalty flag called off the pass to Steve Watson. It's a 16-yard pickup, but let's check out the flag.
Well, it's either on the defensive receiver or the defender or Watson, and I get the feeling that there's some discussion about which one.
There's no infraction on the play. The quarterback was out of the pocket. First down.
That means that if he's not sitting in the pocket, they can assume it might be a run or what have you and push the offensive receiver. In this case, Watson made a real good move to come back to Elway because he has no chance to complete the pass if he does not come back. You see how swiftly he does that? The defensive secondary today, I think, for the Seattle Seahawks will be very, very tight on both Watson and Johnson because they're tight ends and backs have caught very few balls.
Denver first down at the Seattle 19. Now Winder lining up behind Peros. And it's Winder. Battling his way to the 16. Jacob Green and Joe Nash combining on Sammy Winder, who did get some rest last week in the blowout against Minnesota. He ran for 75 yards, 12 carries. He's done the job, although he's taken some pretty good pops.
He's taken a lot of good pops. He and Gerald Wilhite have both run the ball very well, and they do have a good offensive running game, averaging 4 yards a carry. And the other side of the coin, the Seahawks don't have a back that averages that.
Watson to the right. Johnson in the slot. 2nd and 7 from the 16. Elway with time. And Keith Simpson going for the intercept.
Well played secondarily, because we mentioned that they would like to press hard on the outside receivers. Elway knows that. He found a one-on-one coverage. Number 27 is halfback going straight down the field. He does appear to be breaking deep, but out to the outside lurks Keith Simpson. It was a zone defense. The play will not be effective if you do not lull the cornerback up. They did not. They come back with a 3rd down and 7.
Just under 9 left. First quarter. Seahawks lead 7-0. Again, Elway on the roll. close to the first down marker inside the 10.
And John does something so well. He does not really want to prove his strength out here, but he had a chance to pick up a first down on a 3rd down and 7. Watch the move to get out of there. He feels Jeff Bryant, number 77, falling in front of him. If there is a space, it's to the outside. He gets a little help from Watson, but not enough. Secondary keeps him about a foot short of a first down.
So a 27-yard attempt coming up for Rich Carlos, who is 14 for 19. He's a soccer-style kicker, although Carlos admits he's never played a day of soccer in his life. Explain that one, John.
Maybe it's just easier to kick this way.
And Carlos puts the Broncos on the board from 27 yards away. Next Saturday, the PBA Fall Tour continues bowling at its best here on NBC Sports. Denver with 10 straight wins, Seattle with 6 in a row. Denver's only loss this season, losing to Chicago, shut out 27-zip. Second week of the season. 7-3 Seattle, the kickoff by Rich Carlos. And again a boomer, so Zachary Dixon has to stay right there. And they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. The Raiders in front of the Colts 7-0 in the first.
And they're probably playing in a quagmire down there. If you saw that Notre Dame SC game yesterday, it was unplayable.
First down from the 20 coming up now for the Seahawks. Philadelphia knocking off St. Louis, so the Cardinals have gone the other way as of late.
And so has Philadelphia in reverse. This is what I'm talking about, Marv, how hard it is for those wide receivers to hear the signals.
Craig goes to Dornick. Out to the 25. Steve Foley on the coverage.
And he, again, Steve Foley is a tough man one-on-one. That's why they employ him as a strong safety to get up, force the back, and make the tackle. He can do it one-on-one as well as anybody in this game.
A 2nd and 4 across the 25. Dave Craig, who took over as the starter the 9th week of last season. Since then, Seattle, a record of 17-6, including the playoffs. David Hughes, eluding the attempted tackle. Randy Robbins had a shot. Rick Dennison made the play.
You don't duck your head against the good ones.
So 3rd and 1. The spirit of the crowd here in Denver all through the week has been just amazing. The newspapers have treated it as it is a Super Bowl matchup. I saw the late night news last night, a couple of the shows leading with coverage of the Seahawks arriving at their hotel here in Denver.
And the players feel it, and so do the coaches.
Zach Dixon stopped short, but a flag thrown.
And I think the flag was for backfield in motion. It looked as if the lead back, Hughes, got started just a little bit quick.
And that is the indication from the referee, Jerry Seaman. Jerry Seaman sorting it out. The umpire today, Rick Stewart. The head linesman, Leo Miles. Line judge, Bama Glass.
Although it looked as if he was stopped short of the first down, he actually made it.
It is a 3rd down and 5. Back at the 25. Getting it away, and a beautiful catch. Steve Largent picking up the first down and 11-yard advance.
And a man that stands in there the way Craig does, it's what he does best. When he has enough time to deliver the ball, Rulon Jones was right in his face. They know they have to stop number 75 if they're going to be effective and allow David to play. Now watch, Rulon comes to the inside. Ron Essick, number 64, is blocking on him. But watch, as he makes his spin, it looks as though Craig has no way to deliver the ball. He does, however, picks up the first down.
Steve Largent with his first catch of the day. First down at the 37. And again, it's Largent. Another first down across midfield. A 15-yard pickup. Mike Harden on the tackle.
Largent is so shifty when he gets inside on that slot. There are no linebackers that can handle him. You take a look at the longest catch streaks. Largent's is 103. Whether he's now fourth all by himself or whether he's tied for fourth is immaterial, because I'm sure he'll be around for several years. This is only his 8th year. He's only 30 years old, and he'll be around for a bit.
And John, he has certainly been climbing into the upper echelons of the NFL record book in several categories. First down at the 48. Seattle leads Denver 7-3. And Dornick inside the 45. The nose tackle Reuben Carter, the first to get to Dornick. Dornick, a solid all-purpose back, averaging just under 4 yards per carry.
And we mentioned earlier that all their backs are. Chuck Knox says we start the guy who seems to have the semi-hot hand. And
The semi-hot
yes,
hand.
He said Dornick's been doing everything that we could ask of him in the last few weeks. That's why he started.
That's a corrected score. St. Louis beat Philadelphia the other way around. Cardinals win at 17-16, and they hang in the NFC East. Second down and 5. Craig is 5 for 5, 111 yards. David Hughes. And he was tripped up by Randy Robbins. That's an intriguing statement by Chuck Knox, the semi-hot guy. He doesn't want to give full credit.
No, what he means simply is that, hey, our running game is such that without Kurt Warner, we do not have a 4-yard back. All these fellas are different type purpose backs. We know that Dornick has been an outstanding pass receiver. He's been a tough yardage runner for them. They're making do is what they are.
Third down and 5. Broncos with 6 men in the secondary. Lots of time. And he waited for the last instant to hit Byron Walker. He could not have waited any longer.
Well, he had long enough, pal. He had about 7 seconds to throw the ball. Giving him proper time has been the #1 priority. Look at number 75, Rulon Jones, who's been an outstanding pass rusher for the past several years. Craig gets about 7 seconds to throw the ball. Essick, number 64, does a great job. Then you allow your receiver to come wide open. There is no one can cover any wide receiver all over the field for that length of time.
Byron Walker out of the Citadel, keeping his streak intact, his 11th catch of the year. Every pass has gone for either a touchdown or a first down. First down at the Denver 28. Dornick, flag throw. Oh, he is all down, hit hard, and calling for a face mask. May have picked that up. Lewis Wright on the tackle, and Dornick felt should have been a face mask.
Well, so did Craig, and that's the concern. It appeared as though the first infraction was, oh, here we go. Whenever they start throwing 2 or more handkerchiefs, it's just best to wait and see.
Head coach Dan Reeves awaiting the interpretation from Jerry Seaman. Chuck Knox, the only coach in NFL history to take 3 different teams to the playoffs.
Defense, linebacker, still first down.
Well, they call it the offside against Denver.
And that can happen. Let's take a look and see whether Louis Wright actually grabbed Dornick's face mask. If that isn't a violent case of face mask, we all miss a few, but he just didn't get the call.
Sets up a 1st and 5 at the 23. Steve Largent for the first down. 7 yards on the play. Ryan and Dennison on the stop.
Largent is so nifty. He's never in a hurry. He knows how much time the quarterback has. He allows the linebackers to get out of there. There are some receivers who quarterbacks have made. I think this man has really helped every quarterback he's been with, to the extent that I'm not sure he couldn't play with Humpty Dumpty back there. He just makes everybody look good.
His 3rd catch of the day. Humpty's problem could not roll out.
Taking nothing away from David, by the way.
Minute and a half left, 1st quarter. Seattle leading Denver 7-3. Craig looking end zone. Overthrows Dorning. Covered by the linebacker, Ryan.
Craig's quite vocal today. This time he's getting on his own bench.
He has a 2nd and 10 coming up, his 1st incompletion. So Craig 8 for 9, 134 yards.
Well, maybe when you've hit 8 for 8, you don't think you'll ever miss one. I think at that particular time he was given personnel that weren't suited to the particular play that was called, and that happens a lot when you insert as many players as they do now.
10th play of the drive upcoming. Incomplete. Intended for Dorning. So that was underthrown, and it's a 3rd and 10 from the 17. In 11 years of head coaching, 8 playoff berths for Chuck Knox. Dave Craig out of Milton College. Very little interest in Craig after his career at Milton, but as college coach, knew someone in the Seattle front office, and Craig given a tryout and has certainly made the most of it.
Sure has. Jim Zorn was a very well-established quarterback when he came in as a rookie.
3rd down 10. Out of the shotgun. Flag thrown. Craig fumbles, and Denver recovers. Carl Mecklenburg on the recovery. But there is a penalty flag down.
As opportunistic as the Broncos have been throughout the year, Seattle has been equally so. But things have not gone Denver's way early.
This the 2nd penalty about to be assessed on Dan Reeves' Broncos.
Illegal contact. Number 77. Defense. First down.
And it is the man who recovered the fumble. Carl Mecklenburg in his 2nd year out of Minnesota. An A.J. Dewey type for the Denver Broncos, who has played very well. And he is called on the penalty.
I have a slight confusion as to what illegal contact meant in this case, because I know it wasn't a blocker he was trying to avoid.
And a pivotal call. Seattle maintains possession and a 1st down. Here's Hughes. Only Miami and Philadelphia have had fewer penalties called against them coming into today. Denver has been hit with 2 here in the 1st quarter, and this 1st quarter now with 45 seconds remaining.
And if you notice closely, Reggie McKenzie is starting again for the Seahawks. Knox likes to save his old veterans, the ex-All-Pros, for games of this size. Reggie just blew his man right off the line of scrimmage that time and allowed Hughes to pick up the 6.
It is Essing, McKenzie, Bush, Pratt, and Kreider up front. A lot of of experience in that line. McKenzie in his 13th year, 34 years old. There he is, number 67. Bush in his 7th. Pratt his 11th year. Kreider in his 7th. A timeout called. When we come back, it'll be a 2nd down and 5 for the Seahawks. A sustained drive for the Seahawks of Seattle. 2nd and 5 from the 7. 26 seconds left. First quarter. Seattle leading Denver 7-3. Largent in motion. David Hughes. And stopped by Lewis Wright. Big rush by Rulon Jones, who was all over Dave Craig.
And as we see a 3rd down and 6, it all started because of an apparent turnover that was not given to the Broncos. And we have been given a ruling that said Mecklenburg actually hit an eligible receiver downfield, and they did rule that David Craig threw the ball. If he did, I just did not see that phase.
It's a big step, Tom.
I'm still going to go to college, Dad, but after the Army.
On to the 2nd quarter here at Mile High Stadium in Denver. A very healthy quarter this season for the Seattle Seahawks. They lead the Broncos 7-3 off the 80-yard bomb on the first play of the game. Craig hitting the rookie Darrell Turner. 3rd down and 4 from the 6. Here's Gorning. He has picked up the first down short of the goal line. And a flag thrown.
Largent is very concerned. I'm sure it was called on him. He was trying to screen one of the defenders. I'm sure they ruled that he did so before the ball was in the air or caught.
And here's Jerry Seaman.
Pass interference, number 80, offense.
So the call on Steve Largent, and it sets it back to the 15-yard line. Seattle Seahawks coming at 10 up, 2 down. The 10 wins a Seattle season record. Denver 11-1, leading the AFC West. The Broncos have won 10 in a row. 3rd down and 14. Largent peels off. And Craig throws end zone. Overthrowing. He saw the coverage. Darrell Turner handled by Lewis White.
He had enough time if any of his wide receivers had come open quickly, but Rulon Jones was there after about 3 seconds. He had to throw it into the cheap seats, give himself a chance for 3.
So the field goal attempt coming up for Norm Johnson. Now, this is a 32-yard attempt before the season got underway. Seahawks special teams coach Rusty Tillman sent an 80% accuracy goal for Johnson. Coming into today, Johnson has been just sensational. 17 for 19 overall. And this one is good. Make it 33 yards for Johnson. So he is now 18 for 20. And the Seahawks move in front of the Broncos by the score of 10-3. Well, the Denver Broncos have won 12 in a row here in Denver, the longest home win streak in the history of the Bronco franchise. They're trailing the Seahawks by the score of 10-3 off a 14-play, 65-yard drive. Norm Johnson hitting from 33, and again, no kickoff return.
It's just the mark of great special team play. Both these teams have it. We're liable to see several points scored throughout the afternoon without a kickoff return.
Again, they'll start out from the 20-yard line. 80-yard pass play. Craig to Turner. First play of the game, giving Seattle a 7-0 lead. Rich Carlos hit from 27 yards out. And just moments ago, Norm Johnson from 33. Seahawks with 136 yards passing thus far as John Elway gets set to start this series. Big rush. And he just did get it away. Jacob Green in the face of Elway.
I think we might have gotten that one kind of half right. He just did get it away without getting caught because he obviously had no intended receiver. Tim Wright was somewhere within the vicinity, but they do call in the grass so often, and we see it being done now.
And the combination of Bryant and Green, who have been awesome throughout the season, getting the within the grass call, and it sets it back to a 2nd and 21 at the 9. Winder, the lone D-back for Denver. And here's Winder across the 10. Bruce Schultz, the outside linebacker, 3rd year out of Texas, on the stop.
You just see the philosophy of both teams. Now, the fact that Seattle came out firing early, they've still thrown the ball in relatively safe areas, a lot to their backs. On the other side, Denver has not really taken any chances at all. Both teams are such minimum risk offenses due to the fact their defensive play is so outstanding that they don't try very often to get out of this sort of hole.
4 wideouts for the Broncos. Sampson. Submarine by Terry Taylor.
We saw Clint Sampson earlier in the year, Marv, and I mean, he took one of the straightest, roughest hits we've ever seen. He was out for several weeks. He came back, and he was subject to get a beauty there. Take a look at the secondary. Both Seattle safeties are favoring the outside receivers, and they're doing that because Denver has a tendency to throw to both outside receivers, in this case leaving the slot man Simpson open.
So the 10-yard pickup sets it to a 4th and 7, and Chris Norman will punt from his 8-yard line. Paul Scansey awaiting the punt. And another beauty. He had a 63-yard punt earlier. Scansey, 25-30. A 56-yard punt by Norman, who's putting on a show in this first half. 8-yard return for Scansey. And the Seahawks will go to the offense. 1st and 10. The ball spotted at the 30-yard line with 12.5 left. First half.
I have taken on many fighters and tried many beers. One beer isn't a class by itself. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great, and it's less filling. It weighs in at 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. Yes, I discovered your greatest beer, but I never met your greatest fighter. Hey, who is this Billy Martin anyway?
Billy Martin. He's warm, he's gentle, good looking too.
I got to meet this guy.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Sakes alive, sakes alive. Only Mazda's got a sporty truck with just 59.95.
I just got a sporty truck priced like some base trucks. The Mazda B2000 SE5. Look, it comes standard with a 5-speed, radials and spoker wheels, sporty stripes, step bumper, and dual sport mirrors. Pretty sporty for just $59.95.
Sakes alive.
Mazda SE5.
The NFL plays here, Denver.
The playoff-bound Broncos know it ain't over till it's over. They've been down against the NFL's toughest and have come back time and again.
The NFL plays here, Kansas City.
The Chiefs stack up 11 angry men aimed at putting AFC quarterbacks away.
The Broncos battle the Chiefs. Your team plays here.
My team plays here.
And it all gets underway with NFL 84 next week beginning 12:30 Eastern Time. There is a chance of snow. They say about 20%. A nippy day here at Mile High in Denver. First down from the 30. And Craig throwing the bomb again for Turner. And again, it's Darryl Turner with the great speed. He left Lewis right behind. behind.
And the one thing that it comes most noticeable is they're a bit indiscriminate as to who they pick on. That time they threw it on Lewis Wright, who's having one of his finest years ever, and Darrell Turner just ran away from him. Very seldom do you see a one-on-one situation with Lewis Wright where he doesn't have the best angle to the ball when the ball gets up in the air. This ball, just relatively well thrown, would have been another 6.
Darrell Turner, who on the first play from scrimmage caught one that went 80 yards for the game's only touchdown. Second down and 10 from the 30. A lot of movement and flags thrown. Robert Pratt, the right guard, among those.
Well, that one was about start prior to the snap. Number 78.
And they say the right tackle, Bob Kreider.
Had good drop position, though. You notice he set up very well.
The procedure against the Seahawks, second down 15. Back at the 25, it's Essink, McKenzie, Bush, Pratt, Kreider up front. Swing around the scoreboard. Chicago now leads Minnesota 7-3 in the second. David Hughes on the completion. Out to the 35-yard line. Lewis Wright on the stop, a 10-yard pickup.
What you need in order to get away those short passes when they blitz 5 or 6 people. That time Tom Jackson came after David Craig. Reggie McKenzie, being as quick as he is, was able to protect Craig's backside. Take a look. Now he sees his man's being handled. Essink's got him. He's got to go out to Jackson. Does a good enough job to allow Craig to throw the ball in the flat, pick up 6 yards. That coordination is so important. I think it's more important than strength once you get the knack.
And the Seahawks have not been executing third down opportunities lately. In their 2 previous games, only 4 of 23 in third down conversions. Third down and 5 right here. Quick release for Largent. And they pick up the first down. Randy Robbins stopping Largent.
Randy Robbins will have his hands full if they play that sort of defense often. They're trying to get to Craig because his offensive line is giving him so much time to throw. They're inserting more blitzes than is normal for a Bronco defense. When you do that, you leave the defensive backs one-on-one, and Largent's going to have a field day against anybody in that situation.
4 catches for Largent, his very latest, picking up 23, and it's a first down at the 41. 4 minutes in, second quarter, Seahawks with a 10-3 lead on the Broncos. David Hughes, stopped by Andre Townsend, the second-round draft pick rookie out of Mississippi. Marv Albert with John Brody. Capacity crowd as always at Mile High Stadium in Denver, 108th consecutive home sellout. That is a 15-year streak. They have responded to the Broncos, who lead the AFC West with a record of 11-1.
This is just a great sports area in every area.
Well, they have Bronco Mania and Nugget Mania. The Denver Nuggets also off to a terrific start. Pass intended for Byron Walker. Jim Ryan on the coverage.
And Jim Ryan's good drop forced Craig to throw the ball farther to the outside than he'd like. These linebackers for Denver are exceptional.
And Tom Jackson has come back very, very strong.
And yeah, but when you take a look at the fact that Bob Svensson and Randy Gradishar, who were the pillars of their defense over the past 10 years, both unable to play any longer, and their linebacking hadn't dropped any, you've got to give it credit.
Craig 11 for 16 as he faces a third down and 8. Again, the protection. And a nice catch by Dornick, who had to come back for it. A 17-yard pass play.
Dan Dornick, he is the all-purpose halfback used so often in pass play situations. Take a look at the last year's starters that aren't on this club any longer, and to think they're 10-1 or 11-1 at this time of the year, that means you've got to have a good structure. Defensively, you've got to play outstanding ball. They've done all those things to win, and John Elway has brought them back 4 or 5 times.
Very impressive overhaul. Broncos, a very young team. They have a league-high 14 rookies on the roster. And Dorning stopped by Reuben Carter on the first down play. So the Seahawks with another good drive. 2nd and 8 upcoming.
Meanwhile, while we're talking about how good Denver is, Seattle's just running right up and down the field here for the last 50 yards. So,
.8:40 left in the first half. 8th play of this drive. David Hughes inside the 15. So Craig utilizing Hughes and Dorning very effectively.
well, you can do that effectively when your offensive line gives you 3.5 to 4 seconds to throw, because the linebackers are stuck between a rock and a hard spot. They've got to keep their distance as long as the quarterback hasn't committed. You see Harden, it was his own defense. He was the first man to get to the play. And if you're giving your quarterback that much time, he's really just picking and choosing.
5th catch for Hughes. All in short yardage situations. 3rd down and 1 for Seattle at the 12. And Blair Bush leads the Seahawks up. Randall Morris, the rookie from Tennessee, picking up the first down. Lewis Wright on the coverage. Wait a moment, let's see where they spot the ball.
They gave him a pretty good spot.
Well, apparently he fell short. It is a 4th down coming up.
I think if I were the captain for the offensive team there, I might request a mark.
So the Seahawks will go for the 3. Norm Johnson from 29 yards away. Angle to the left. An unfriendly upright. So Johnson not able to connect. We'll get another look at it.
This is a chip shot in his league, but he never did get the ball off cleanly. Take a look at that flag. It tips the edge of it. And while the Seahawks have done a lot of movement up and down the field, they still only lead by 7 in the middle of the 2nd quarter.
It doesn't take much looking for you to know the Mazda GLC sedan is a lot more than mere transportation. At $66.95, you also know it's an outstanding value. And when you look inside, you see seats you just wouldn't expect in an economy car. You see one of the largest interiors in its class, and you experience a precise shifting 5-speed. But one thing you may not know is just how much fun it is to drive. Mazda GLC sedan. Experience it.
When I launched this business a few years back,
We were building mostly skiffs and dinghies. Now look what we're putting in the water.
you know why this yard caught on? Because we do a good job at a fair price.
We like Meisterbrow for the same reason. Sure, we could pay more for beer now, but this has a big, full-bodied taste without a big price.
Fellas, drop anchor right here.
Meisterbrow, big taste, without the big price.
Monday on TV's Bloopers, comedy classics with young Johnny Carson, practical jokes on Kim Fields and Tony Danza, and some embarrassing moments from Cheers. Monday.
Norm Johnson, who was 17 for 17 inside the 50 with his first miss from inside the 50-yard line as he could not connect from 29 yards away. So the score remains Seattle 10, Denver 3. And the Broncos take over at their 20-yard line. Elway on the roll. Intended for Steve Watson.
You notice on that play, John was trying to buy a little time. He was trying to get Steve to come back to him. Steve was on the run the whole way, never really saw the need to because he had beaten his secondary man. Watch, this is 88 here, but 81 is just coming out, stumbled as he came out, could not really see the ball at all, was just trying to maintain balance. There have not been a lot of open receivers for the orange shirts.
And the Seahawks dominated the Broncos to this point. Elway is only 2 for 5, 27 yards, second down play. Going sideline. Ray Alexander. Stopped by Keith Simpson, a 40-yard pass play.
I think more than any other quality, that's what a real strong arm can allow a quarterback to do. It spreads the defense to such an extent, the guy with Elway's gun can just stand there and fire the ball all the way across the field. There is no zone defense that can handle this, given enough time. You see, he waits for his man to get in between the corner and the safety. John Harris had no play on the ball. Just a beautiful throw. Take a look at the secondary. Now, this is a zone defense. It's spread out. He's playing as close to the sideline as he could, but it wasn't close enough.
First down from inside the 40. Stutter step by Rick Barros. Stopped by the right defensive end, Jeff Bryant. Right here, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television
Colorado's
Network.
News Channel, Channel 4, KCNP, Denver.
Marv Albert, John Brody from Denver, Colorado. The Seattle Seahawks in front of the Denver Broncos, 10-3. They struck early. First play from scrimmage, 80-yard bomb. Now Denver on the move, 2nd and 4. Down at the Seattle 33. Look out.
That'll be... Well, the official was barely able to throw the flag that time. They almost got him, too. When the play is stopped, and everyone knew it was, to take the quarterback and dump him on his head is something that reminds you of what happened Cleveland and Pittsburgh with Terry Bradshaw about 5 or 6 years ago. Not necessary. Being an ex-quarterback.
Yes, I was going to mention that. Jacob Green, the man who made the move at John Elway, and then little Sammy Winder had some words with the 6'3", 255-pound Jacob Green. Well, this was billed as the battle with Seattle. Well, Jerry likes to take his time.
Offside, defense, penalty decline, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense.
Now, Jacob Green will be concerned with that, but it seemed as though everyone else knew the whistle had blown. He's got a hold of John right now. He knows the play stopped. So do John's teammates.
Now, Keith Bishop racing to the rescue of John Elway, and then Sammy Winder had some words, so that cost Jacob Green in Seattle. Denver now first down at the Seattle 18-yard line. 5.5 left in this first half. Seahawks 10, Broncos 3. Steve Watson flanked to the left. The running backs Winder and Parros out of the eye. Here's Parros, nothing. Joe Nash, the nose tackle in his 3rd season out of Boston College, right there.
Well, you're talking about Boston College, Marv. Did you happen to see that little ditty that went on about 3 days ago?
In fact, Nash, a man who enjoyed the Doug Flutie show on Friday. You know, Nash has the Boston College Eagle tattooed on his hip. Talk about school allegiance.
Sounds like one of those fraternity pranks to me.
Second and 11. And Elway lost it. Touchdown. Butch Johnson.
Butch is loving this, of course, but, you know, I think so many people have highlighted the strength of John Elway's arm, you tend to forget the touch that the man can use. This time, Johnson was thrown the ball before he made his final movement. Perfectly thrown ball. He was pretty well covered. Nevertheless, 6 points.
And Rich Carlos has tied the game at 10. The 19-yard touchdown pass thrown by Elway.
And look at this ball. He put some air under it. Simpson is in pretty good position to make a fine play if the ball is not perfectly thrown. Butch Johnson pulls it down easily, and Denver's back in.
AT&T is in travel.
Well, that quote in reaction to Butch Johnson, who said he purposely did not look good while he was with the Houston Oilers so he could force a trade to a winning football team. What's your reaction to that?
Marv, if you believe that comment, you believe Houston will play in the Super Bowl in '85.
Another powerful kick. And again, no return as Zachary Dixon has to stay in the end zone.
We mentioned simply that I think this kid can throw it as well as anybody in the game. He put a lot of air under that ball. Butch Johnson ran a very fine pattern to keep Simpson from being able to get in a position to make the play, and it's tied up.
Seattle first down on the 20-yard line. Broncos, 5 plays, 80 yards, capped off by the 19-yard pass from Elway to Johnson. Elway's 15th touchdown pass of the season. Craig off the play action. Nice catch by Largent. Lewis Wright on the stop.
They've been laying off Largent the last 2 or 3 weeks. Haven't really thrown to the man as much as their tendencies were in the past, and I'm sure they've saved him. Looks like every pattern is intended primarily to go to Steve, unless they throw a long one to Darrell.
5th catch of the day. Picked up 8. 2nd and 2 from the 28. We're tied at 10. Here's Hughes. Very powerful move and a fumble. And the ruling is the ball landed out of bounds. So Seattle maintains possession.
Both these teams are so good when they get 3 or 4 defenders around the ball to strip the running back from it that it's almost a good idea to just find the ground when you get into that position. Hughes could not do so, and that ball just barely made it out of bounds before it was a turnover.
And it's placed back at the 29. It'll be a 3rd down and 1. Both these clubs like to, as one of the Seattle defensive players put it, peck away. They pound away at the football, and both have been very, very effective.
First guy holds him up, and the next 3 go after it.
Just under 4 left in this first half. Seattle 4 for 6 in 3rd down conversions. Not this time. Zachary Dixon was stopped. And one of the Broncos is down. Looked to be Randy Robbins, the rookie safety man out of Arizona.
Take a look. When it's almost when it's so hard to get back to the line of scrimmage, all the Broncos are in a slant to the right side. All of them slipped right through the crease. The running back had no chance to get back to the line.
But apparently, Robbins all right, holding his wrist. Randy Robbins starting in place of the injured Dennis Smith at strong safety. And Jeff West will punt it for 32 yards on his first attempt. Back at his 12. Gerald Rohite awaits the punt at the 25. And he hops it up. But takes a Seattle hop. Not what West had in mind, but he did get a roll.
This is the sort of game, Marv, where you don't see a fanny on the bench. I mean, they don't have a guy from either side sitting on the bench. And normally you'll see 15, 20 fellas sitting there. This game is...
32-yard punt by West, and a timeout has been called. We'll be right back. Marv Albert with John Brody from Denver, John Elway. And the Broncos go to work, first down inside the 40-yard line. We're tied at 10. Elway coming off the brilliant performance last week against Minnesota, 16 for 19, 5 touchdown passes. And again a flag. Penalty marker down. The last time a Denver quarterback threw 5 touchdowns back in 1962, Frank Trapuka did it when Elway, who threw 5 last week, was only 2 years old.
And you know, 5 touchdowns is a fantastic number, and very few players have ever thrown that many. But to throw it in just a little over a half is even more impressive. And he had 5 about 5 minutes into the third quarter.
Number 76, offense, still first down.
All right, the hold on Ken Lanier, the right tackle. What's the most you ever thrown in a game?
I think we got 5 once or twice, and I think we lost the ball game, and that happens a lot too. But John's play just took his team and blew them right past the Vikings. Their offensive line's moving pretty well. They got picked for holding that time, but they've had pretty good surge.
1st and 17. Back at the 33. 3 minutes left, first half. Johnson in motion. Winder to the 35. And the Broncos hearing it from the crowd.
But you know, so many times, and I think all young quarterbacks occasionally get thin-skinned, and I don't think John Elway is any exception. I think he's misinterpreted a few of those boos as being meant for him, when I think they're meant for the play calling and the play selection. And if you take a look at a minimum risk type offense, you're going to hear a few boos, but I don't think Dan Reeves cares. I like his record.
2nd down, 14. Here's the blitz. Look out. Elway getting it away. Intended for Sampson, but interference call.
What a beautiful play by Sampson.
And Terry Taylor will be called for the interference.
Marv, that was a double safety blitz. Easley was totally uncovered. He camouflaged it so that he got there, and only a guy that's alert can get rid of the ball.
Number 24, defense.
But you know you're one-on-one. You know the defensive back is to you. You can throw the ball up. Your offensive receiver has the best chance to get to it. Terry Taylor was the culprit. And actually, Clint Sampson made an absolutely fine move to go for the ball.
So the break for Denver, giving them a first down at the Seattle 47-yard line. Interference on Taylor, the #1 draft pick out of Southern Illinois. That's a 17-yard pickup by the Broncos. 2:18 left, first half. We're tied at 10. They go out of the eye. Now Johnson peels off. Elway Dixon. And broken up by the combination of Keith Simpson, number 42, and Ken Easley.
Well, they play back there extremely well and well coordinated, but Johnson catches a lot of those times, and Elway is throwing the ball so well that it's taking absolute perfect secondary coverage to handle it. You see, he can handle it. He dissects those defenses. Easley was not in the play. Simpson made a super defensive play to get his hand on it. How many have you seen Butch Johnson come down with from Roger Staubach over the past several years? And Danny White, and I'm sure John Elway.
2nd and 10 from the Seattle 47. And again, Elway just did get it underway. And let's see, it was picked off. Dave Brown on the interception. The pass intended for Steve Watson, but again the blitz. This time it was the outside linebacker, Greg Gaines, right at John Elway.
Well, he was in Elway's face, but John, that's the sort of play that sometimes these great arms make a mistake by trying to complete. He had nowhere to go. Watson was never in a position to catch any sort of reception. Brown was playing the short out all the way. John would have done better to just sling it down on the ground.
Dave Brown with his 8th interception of the season. He's now tied for the NFL lead with Ken Easley, depending on what has been going on elsewhere. First down from the 40 for Dave Craig with the time again and throws it away. And 2 minutes remain now in this first half in Denver. The Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks are tied at 10. We'll be right back.
Furnished by the National Football League.
Just under 2 minutes remaining. In this first half, we're tied at 10. Dave Brown just picking off his 8th interception of the season. And you can see where Brown stands among those still active in the NFL. And he and Ken Easley with 8 interceptions apiece.
And another man on that active list, John Harris, with 33 interceptions. He was one of the top 5. So it just shows you how opportunistic that group has been over the past few years.
2nd and 10 from the 40. Craig is 14 for 20, 202 yards. And once again, Steve Largent, Carl Mecklenburg on the stop. Largent with his 6th catch of the half.
Well, you know, both of these teams have a featured receiver. For Denver, it's Watson. For the Seahawks, it's been Largent. And although they can both get deep, neither has great speed. Largent is a little bit niftier, Watson a little bit bigger, but Largent's having a field day now.
3rd down and 4. The first down as Tom Jackson fell down. Nice cut by Dorning.
Excellent, and that's what you expect of a real good situation 3rd down back.
LA Raiders in front of the Indianapolis Colts. San Francisco leads New Orleans. They are at the half. Chicago, Minnesota. Bears up 10-3 in the 2nd. And all the scores and highlights upcoming. NFL 84 back at our studios in New York. Bob Costas, Ahmad Rashad, Bill McAtee, and the Axe, who was not playing with a full deck on the pregame once again. 1:16 remaining in this first half as the timeout was called. Well, all the excitement and enthusiasm of college basketball is back. Join us next week for the beginning of new eras for 2 of college basketball's premier programs. First-year head coaches Joey Meyer of DePaul taking over for his dad, and Walt Hazard of UCLA battled it out in their first national appearance. Don't miss all the excitement. And that'll be right here on NBC Sports. UCLA and DePaul getting it underway next Saturday starting 2:30 Eastern Time. Would you explain that
I'd
Philip?
say you might consider him to be a little suspect. I know he loads up before the game, but when the snow starts, he's still in the same garb. that's when it really gets you to wondering.
Well, there is a 20% chance of snow later on today. Temperature right now 38 degrees here in Denver. Minute 16 left in the half. We're tied at 10. First down from midfield for the Seahawks. The reverse for Largent. Gets about 5. Lewis Wright able to corner him at the 5 far side. So Largent on the reverse.
Well, if you take a look from end to end, they put a lot of people on Largent. They had 2 linebackers on the other side, so they assumed maybe they could get out around the containment. They weren't able to do so. The Denver defense is so active that to run anything laterally very long, you will get caught.
Well, that was a move by the Houston Oilers that Bum Phillips would like to forget about, as they sent Largent away, and he has emerged as one of the great ones in the league. 2nd and 5. Dave Craig with time, couldn't find anyone, and then underthrows, intended for Byron Walker, covered by Lewis Wright.
Dave Craig has thrown very smartly throughout this half. He has not tried to force any balls, because when you do, that's when Denver's at its best. Louis Wright had his man covered throughout across the field. That's hard to do, but Louis can do it.
And as you see, a minute 2 remaining in the half. David Craig opening up. First play from scrimmage. 80-yard bomb for Darrell Turner. Look at those stats. He now has thrown 22 touchdowns on the season. That is a Seahawk club record. 3rd down play, and he goes deep again for Walker. Steve Wilson able to break it up.
Tell you what, right now, Denver is playing Seattle's receivers one-on-one on the outside, and the Seahawks have not been able to shake free. They're playing them one-on-one because they're putting more attention on Largent. They do not want to let that man run free in the middle. So you see, Steve Wilson's out here responsible for Walker one-on-one, actually forces him out of bounds. That's about as well as a defender can play a ball.
And Wilson came on for the starting right cornerback, Mike Harden. All right, Jeff West. And let's see where they spot it. With 49 seconds remaining in the half. Again, a short punt by West, 32-yard punt.
That's right. But remember, Denver has not taken any timeouts. They have 3 left. Since they've got the ball, I don't think they're going to try to do anything smart. They'll try to get it out of there with a running play. Seattle only has 1 timeout left, and because of that, they cannot force them to stay down there and make them punt. They could run the ball out if they don't get a good play early.
Now the ball marked at the 13-yard line. Winder, the lone deep back. First down from the 13. Here's Winder. Out to the 18 with 42 and counting.
If they let this thing wind down, and I'm pretty sure that Dan Reeves is going to do that, you'll hear a few boos from the stands. But you know, you can't hardly criticize success too harshly. And he takes all the heat, but he also takes the victories.
Well, with a record of 11-1 and leading the AFC West. And Reeves can take the reaction from the crowd, or a portion of the crowd. Now the cheers as the Broncos and the Seahawks head back to the locker room. At halftime here in Denver, it's the Broncos and the Seahawks tied at 10. Seattle striking early. 80-yard pass play from Craig to Turner. 27-yard field goal by Carlos. A 33-yarder by Johnson, who missed later from 29. And then it was Elway for Johnson to tie it. That's the end of the half. We're tied at 10.